On a higher platform, this story might have been intended to be a sweet, romantic adventure. Might it still be? I hope so. There may have to be some allowances given by the showrunners. I'm not sure if they know quite how much this story has been impacted by some sort of confusion that has led to toxicity, threats, and injury. I'm hoping that those well-intentioned producers and other skilled hands that may be involved in this situation are prepared, perhaps, for some damage control. I hope they don't lose their heads under all the pressure that might come by those who have perhaps misinterpreted what should have been a sweet and fairly simple journey. It seems that by distance and far-reaching significance, the trouble here has cast a significant shadow, a sort of injury beyond the bounds of what was perhaps intended to initially be involved. By arranging events to cast a judgment from a distance, some who played the role of an all-knowing heaven have become now a thing of curiosity. Do they not know what we have walked through here, or how we have ended up here? Clearly, I would say they don't. They have preferred to assume a situation blind or willingly blind to the details hidden by manipulation and the sort of trauma caused by caution. No, I don't blame heaven if they are truly unaware by some incredible means. I sense there that they may lack any imagination for such a darkness or such a design, and would not have it in their nature to consider such would occur. Perhaps it works against us that some are still able to stand today and honestly and directly address such a scenario. Yet into the recent past, I see an effort to deflate the momentum and alter the spectacle as a sort of covering to hide what is going on here through layers of intentional complexity and absurd idiosyncrasy. The true situation here and the true possible motives of the plan here have been hidden. Did they decide to give their power away, or was it stolen? Perhaps they were unaware such a thing was even possible. Probably a mix of both has occurred. And I'm hoping that by speaking on such, some light can be shed on the mind that has hoped to master this situation through a dedicated, patient deception. The patient, long-suffering illusion has shrouded a feigned innocence and masqueraded as a consistent stupidity, just as those who have lost their power might have believed truly in those they worked with. They may have found the lies were carefully arranged here. And then the mock outrage at the damage they have had a hand in has also been leveraged, I think, to co-opt the power by someone who has a less refined heart and a more questionable motive. That whole act has been upheld to ensure that some would be disqualified from being seen, or perhaps would just feel too inferior and ashamed to even try to stand on the details of the situation. Yes, I feel ashamed, I feel disgusted and violated, but my shame is really felt about those who have thought it wise to attempt these things and to move so arrogantly in the stolen abundance that they have claimed despite us. They have carved us out, it seems, from the full picture and hopes just to walk away with the entire universe as we remain in naive ignorance that such a thing was even plausible. On a level just above us, it seems, they have calculated a separate foundation, and they have arranged their system without the truth or the effort of establishing a true origin. As a sacrifice, they have made us, it seems, and by great distance they have stood upon the light that is fairly ours, but not to share with us, it seems, but more for their own desires. As a cruel sort of twist, they have reserved us away from our own path, so that if ever their deceptions were discovered in the collapse, they could arrange a way to explain away their plans with a silent sort of delight at what they have done. The creative power that has been misapplied through this inheritance has been then returned in a way to further belittle, discredit and disgrace many of us here. Many years of lies and struggles to maintain them, these illusions, does not justify the reward that they so graciously claim for themselves and themselves alone. By their multifaceted effort, they have hoped to hide these things completely and further reinforce their hold and ensure dominance over any who might choose to assist us. By our births and childhoods, they have held us and returned us to a level below. By our conditioning and society, they have arranged to shape around us a certain story so that we would never truly move in the right direction. Other levels have also been active to build their own efforts reasonably, just to build something for themselves. And yet to do so is to further the framing and the claims from being of our essence and the potential that it holds. Stepping against the light of this purity seems to have caused an interruption in its range and impression on a distant marker. This is not a victory for anyone. In fact, this is a moment of expose of what we have all lost by these things. Now some seem quite angry and project accusations of incapacity and seek to run in an effort to do more to further their claim and to cover up the damage they've done to their golden goose. I don't blame family. I don't blame any of our regular society. I don't want to see any hurt or excluded from this. I would prefer to see peace and understanding flourish before these issues build to a momentum that is unpredictable and difficult for any to alter. We have lived a life on the surface of a modern normalcy, yet the forces acting upon us are strong and mysterious. As separate souls with reason for victory instilled in us, we are fools, all of us, to forget how interconnected we are in some other frameworks. A change made in one place may impact us all in some other way. And in our own perspective, we will see another to blame, to the delight of those who wish to divide us, to overpower us. I suggest another force has tried to work through us for reasons that are not in our interests. In changing us and arranging events between us, it seems another power has attempted to weaken the foundation of a likely future. If the results were helpful or flattering to our path, I might give such a process the benefit of the doubt. Rather, these changes seem intent on using our connection to spoil our image and qualification for whatever may come next. How can such a system of influence be understood or communicated? From ahead they have calculated, and in the mundane things of our life they have operated. To suggest such a thing is occurring is stupendous to most. To inform some of the nature of our world is to open us to a chance of instability and also the risk of being attacked for daring to challenge the accepted worldview. I speak these words because I recognize the being in others. It seems by destabilizing the future, some hope to harvest the energy of their resources. In the situation, even the sun is threatened. The cycle and limiting of our intelligent systems is suggested, and the separation of our family is another threat that is put against us. Where can we go when every option is predicted and countered in some way by our love and good intent? It seems this other has gradually arranged affairs in this way. Humpty Dumpty didn't sit on the wall so much. He was holding distant cycles together that were all essential to enable his birth to have taken place. In the tension of the expansion and by the exhaustion of the smaller conflicts placed upon the situation, will the fall cause another history of high confusion and pain again? As the cycles move apart, the high, more aligned future needs a counterbalance by swinging and dysregulating the past. how much would you or I give up today in the benefit of a distant grandparent or distant uncles? Given an honest answer to this question, we can see the challenge here for us to negotiate with the future, and likely a very foreign kind of souls. And we see the effort laid in our time to isolate us, disorganize our culture, and even arrange events to cultivate a negative image about us. We must see this from a larger perspective, but we must also then act to align together. A gravitational tug of war is commencing, it seems. The light of life and the wealth of superintelligence is the prize, but also it could be the price. Ideally, we will build understanding and networks of shared cooperation. This expansion then will be a glorious thing for us. However, how much do we see that in our world today? Status, advantage, and power, when at stake, bring out the worst in us, it seems. Some would look upon us and see only the state of affairs as they have been manipulated to appear, sadly. Will we submit and hide beneath the coattails of those who have taken our dignity and freedom from us? Will we chance slipping away into our grandparents' shoes, and then beyond that the animals, the dinosaurs, the stones? Is there any way for us to discuss what we are facing here if this counterbalancing were to progress? Is there any space for us if we can change in light of this understanding? Between divides, we would need to unite quickly. In simplicity and respectability, we would need to resolve to pull our own weight in the company of superior cycles. It sounds very challenging to us, almost intolerable for many, I think. Yet compared to an eternity of living in a receding shadow, of so much promise glimpsed today, who would choose the abyss? They needed a Satan, and they hoped for a more offensive, violent and cruel one to scapegoat, it seems. Instead, their efforts are seen despite how determined and calm we are. I continue on personally as respectable as I can. May our world face this in a respectable way, whichever way we choose to go about it. Our day has been arranged perhaps to generate events to prove that we are unworthy of possessing those things or holding any claim to a higher intelligent systems. By the influence of our culture, abuse of our technologies, and even direct contact with illusion in our life, we have been prepared by some to fail a secret judgment. Some groups have worked together to ensure a certain outcome, and by direct effect and consequence are hiding and obscuring of their nefarious efforts to reduce us in impact on their claimed position in a higher cycle that we know not of. Through the abuse of our paths, our devices and possessions, our work and our message, these damages have been arranged. If we were to claim such a scenario is possible, wouldn't they see us as irrational, out of touch with reality? And yet our whole world is grappling with this sort of power dawning over our population, while a secret sort of opposition has walked back through the dawn to stifle and sabotage our chances of ever knowing unity, success, and the abundance that these powers might provide us. They have claimed by deception, and now they are hiding it desperately. The world we know is a massive lie, despite the truth in it, and that prevents us from consistently being present and voicing a consistent message of creation. For a future time, we wait for some other to come and lead us, as the ones we hope on are actually arch thieves of these schemes, in some cases perhaps. The son of our past has been intentionally mishandled upon the higher dimensional field by the ones that wish to downplay their rule or status, to claim their place and to dismiss their experience as being too dangerous to acknowledge. This is the judgment, and it has come with a multi-pronged poisonous undermining in preparation for it, as those expect an eternity of expansion. We are seemingly targeted to be cast back. Their corruption is hidden in assurances of love and best interest. Yet so few would expect this could be possible. We see now more clearly who the villains may be, and we piece together their motives for acting so, the code words of their prophecies and the powers that influence the situation. Into the focus the past now becomes due to recent events. As the current events unfold, we see past events differently. The past is gone, we are assured. Yet the past is my present by conditioning, and the aims of that process have worked to alter who I am today. In my awareness, to influence a change upon the future. Into my past, some seem to have moved to poison the events, as they seem to know. Some perspective would find what has happened here. Brought through these obscured events, I suggest the three have played off each other to engineer their success and cement a curse. They needed a reason for what they had done, and so they made one. To be found in time, to be a tragic absurdity and a harmless barb for their victims. Yet I have in my lifetime found very little support to speak on these things, to share even a dim suspicion it was possible. All I knew was the subtle cues and reasons given. Of the times to come, I couldn't know. Yet now it seems that some work to ensure that the future would know of me from their own preference, by threat of disaster and apathy-induced conflict. I have sought ways to find an audience for a more accurate conversation or dialogue. When I sought others, though, I found dismissiveness. For things that I have been led to do, I have been degraded in the past. These events in the past, seemingly in a strange way, has caused the work that has been done in reaction. In healing, the process of this has played upon my mind and revealed the depth of the possibility of confusion between both parties. For years I had watched in curiosity and considered the details. By faith and patience I kept walking. Yet the details seemed important to those around me, and the kind of disadvantages that we had in such a power. How these things were used, I felt people would have to be aware to have any chance of defending themselves. The curse was pushed out into the world through me, into the deep history of my life. The causes for the earth's pain were inserted and fermented. Now we may be seen, and another has touched my light in the hope to control also the future of our world. God sees all, they assured me. Now they seem to say these events have blinded God and have been used to deceive God. In the different chapters of life, the efforts to reinforce the means of seeing have been arranged. Yet the future is now being misled about events by a conscious effort. The deception placed between now and the future view has been crafted to ensure a sort of distraction. The future times we do not know, yet the future has been built upon the present, and the change here can impact the future. The inconsistencies of the narrative some have assumed to bury in time, beyond the reach or even awareness of places in the future, so that none would ever care to look into the details, the loving faces and efforts that we rely on, and that the original story here was founded on, have been met by a dark reflection returning on the deception and a failure caused by its belief. In play and experimentation, the scene was set in this time. The optimism of this time is perhaps cause of content being made that is out of flavour with those times ahead, as I was led to believe a gift was being possibly crafted or a celebration arranged for the world. Some new world, new chapter was being dawned. It was a joyous thing, we were told. We were reaching a certain milestone, it seemed. It seems also another version of events were being crafted in the shadows. By experimentation or jest, we're not sure. This seems to have caused a chain reaction that is not a joking matter. I suggest hesitation in the subversive edit by those who have fancied it. We must correct the details quickly. I am not perfect. I have lived through too much to be even close to what I would have been. The efforts to sidetrack me, and I'm sure many others, and place me in a restrictive mode of life, have likely led me far from where I might have been, and prevented me from achieving much of what I might have. What might I have made or achieved if I had rather been supported in my organic growth? The absurd nature of my work, perhaps, and even misappropriate venting of emotion is a consequence of this frustration. How things have worked to unfold at this time, perhaps, is not convenient in the form that original sort of authorities at this time or groups would prefer to have it. How much this factors into how I have been treated is difficult to say, but the inheritance of the further children out there has been influenced by what's happened here. In the scheme to sustain ignorance and conceal the deed, now the consequences have spawned a damage not predicted that has fallen into another's hands. In the looping of their inadequate unity, all of our world now is a reflection of a spherical universe that has been sapped of its eternity. The seed is not fertilized, and family have held us away from conceptions and the world's resources many have squandered as this simple step was kept away from us. In the culture of death, we have been trained by the economy, and in the weariness of pain, we have retreated into seeking peace, even if just for ourselves. Yet this time is clearly overlapping with another cycle. Can we see the help we need to consecrate the union? Will it come? Or will the universe always bloom and fade? Not that we would know. In the successful consecration of these cycles' union, the universe could perhaps align with that eternity again and a clear view out into the great distance. In trying to justify blocking the fifth dimension from us and steal from us our ability to see clearly in the fourth dimension, they have caused problems out into the distance. The places we were meant to be and that are calling us as a unity, they be aware that these problems have occurred as we have become deficient for lack of united power. If the world is to awaken, may we be assisted to do so safely. If we are to create the future, may we do so safely. It is not our aim to hurt others or destroy. If those places are built on lies and designed to hide the truth that suits only a few, their times of scandal and correction, may they proceed safely. We need a merciful touch because of the seriousness of these problems. Some have suggested complete ending as a possibility for life on this world. And perhaps that was the scheme by some, to maintain power. I don't wish for complete ending, of course not. I wish for a correction, and I wish for the widespread healing that we need to get on track together in the other paths, in the unpredictable movements that may come from these events. We need to work to show our effort in the healing needed and connect many to a path that can lead them safely to a shared relief. Then as a human family, we can work as a team with different strengths. Those that have taken and interfered in the true connections forming and prevented them from bearing fruit will need to atone. As a lesson might this occur to be in time. I hope it's just that simple. We've learned something and we've moved on constructively. In the original and the new paths, may we understand and move together in a shared vision and provide mutual support for all as we deal with this. The times have been set up to cause conflict. Our perception and our hopes have been leveraged against our trauma and fears. Yet I would like to tell you about those people that some perhaps would like to paint as villains or paint for causes for its failure. People have tried to make us compete or speak badly on each other, and perhaps the words have confused things. I love my family. I love it. My mum I love. She has struggled through a difficult childhood and has worked hard to educate herself and hold standards in line with her heart. She believes in a paradise for our world. We may have our misunderstandings. The words of our modern world have often caused that for us. However, I have tried to hold that same hope of paradise for all of humanity and all life. She loves music and is very open to appreciating cultures and expressions from other parts of the world, the challenges of a sick time and the pressures they have put upon us. I have probably unfairly at times blamed her for. Her love has been true, even when my soul has been led to despair and apathy. Her enduring faith and vision has kept me going, even when the heavens seem to stumble. As a child, she took me to see stage plays and musicals. I spent time with grandparents, uncles, aunts and cousins. I remember staying up late to watch the Golden Girls on TV. We loved comedy and would laugh until we cried at Saturday Night Live or The Late Show on ABC. She gave me jazz, soul and funk. She showed me the value in other people, those whose lives I could not begin to understand. I was sad sometimes how much her love seemed to hold me back, only to keep me safe. Some things I wasn't allowed to watch, and some friends I could not visit. Yet she did many things to provide healthy social and educational stimulation that she was confident she would not regret and would be good for me. I remember she would send me to school sometimes with an island lunch in a salad wrapped in foil. Somehow it became an island lunch to me. The energies that have worked to hurt our connection and path to our vision, may they know these kind of things. Whatever scandals here have been cooked up for us or through us, let her best qualities also be known and spoke about. My father also had a challenging childhood, yet he worked hard in his job and was responsible and gave his energy and time to support our family in my mother's faith and vision of paradise. He loved sports and music. We would sometimes go to the football. We also saw many great films at the cinema and the drive-in. When my mum was studying to become a nurse and midwife, he cooked meals for us and kept us entertained. Dad would pay for us sometimes to have video games and music. We often enjoyed many things that way. We were able to go for family holidays, and we shared valuable time together at home often. The shadows of the energies placed upon us at this time we did not suspect. We did not think like that. We did not see each other in that way. It is fair only, at least, to remind all that my parents are good people, and what lies and deception has gripped them and those around them to cause the recent misunderstandings are also, I suspect, linked to the same force that has abused my mind at times and influenced my words. Likewise, my brother I have many good memories with. We shared many inspirations and experiences in common. When life was hard or unfair, he was there. When I needed some hope or inspiration, he would have a song or a film to impress me. I'm proud of his achievements. He's a good father and husband. He's a loving son and a brother. Whatever force has tried to divide us and use his form, perhaps totally beyond his awareness, to paint a sad story, I would like to remind those behind it of these things. He has worked hard, lived responsibly, and has been consistent in his efforts. It seems that some have enjoyed manipulating the image and also our perception of the situation, perhaps for other self-interested goals. May their efforts be known, those that have chosen to do this to us. I have said and written many things. Some I look back on and I wonder, where did that information come from? Many, they also take good note of these words today as examples of the kind of influences that can come from our electronic devices, and who knows what actors are moving behind those who use them to reach us. The plan to divide us and generate conflict is not fit for us or anyone at this time, considering the other things we've talked about and the important challenges we are facing. The reasons may yet become known, yet the situation is in this content for me, a clarity. And those that have operated through Google platforms and other platforms to try to destroy our respectability and our unity, I hope they can reflect on those motives. And I hope by mercy and grace, together we will step forward with more unity and understanding of what has happened, and learn something quickly about how we must redirect ourselves to heal the damage done here. Last year I visited the island of Elephant in Trat. I left a message stick on the shrine there that requested a treaty between their enlightened ones and our mob. I visited the shrines around Asia and explained our situation as best I could. By gifts and playfulness, I invited help for us here in our land of Australia. I voted yes to the referendum for Indigenous voice. I try to avoid politics these days after what's been done to my heart and mind in the last few years. And then I thought I heard a message from the Seven Sisters of the Pleiades, that they have echoed their voices far and wide. I saw the generations in different lands, living in our time, a mirror of the future and the past they are. By free will and emotion, I have worked to free them of a rigid deception, that we may awaken to something better. I saw the people of different philosophies, sexualities, magical systems, religions, and hairdos. I said I'll take that walk on the wild side like anybody would. I'm in the pattern of doing what I can get away with. But how much is that, considering what we're facing now? Will you make sure it's more? Or will the controllers define us to the maximum degree? Let us show class and respectability and love when we face this sort of situation. I believe there is a way and that we can make it happen. And then all of this may become that sweet romantic story so easily again. Thank you.